When you hop off the plane, check in. Penthouse suite, check in. When your feet hit the street, check in. Cause if not, shit get hot, you better check it in.
Welcome to WorldStar, checking in with Stephen A. Smith, the legend. My man.
What's up, bro?
Good to have you here, bro.
Good to be here, man. I grew up on 2/3 between 111th and 112th, a block away. So I grew up with Jam Master Jay.
Oh, so you've been knowing Jay from the...
I knew Jay practically my whole life.
That's crazy, because I know Jay. I actually physically met Jay when I came home in 2004.
Right.
My wife was a Jam Master Jay fan, man.
Oh, he
had
was
his
big time.
poster on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, like growing up. Like
He was big time, man. But Run DMC, they were one of the originals, no question, you know. But I knew all of them.
they was the legends, man.
That's right. LL, didn't know LL. Grew up 5 minutes from me. You go to Hollis, remember, I'm between 111th and 112th. You go to the corner, you make a left. And 1 mile down was Farmers Boulevard. That's where LL grew up.
So I thought they said LL grew up in the good part. He was
They could call that
wealthy.
the good part all they want to. It was the good part compared to spots in the Bronx and Brooklyn and the projects and all of that, because you had single family homes there. But you know what? I lived in a single family home. It was still holes in the roof. It was still rats and roaches. It was still government cheese and all of that. I mean, they could think that we were better all we want to, but it wasn't like that.
Because that's like our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because growing up on our side of the 60s in the city, they called us the wealthy Crips or the well-to-do.
Right.
But shit, we was going to get it just like everybody else.
Exactly. This notion that, you know what, we weren't going to get it, that's not true. That's not true. We was broke as hell. Broke as hell.
That's crazy.
My mother was absolutely wonderful and pounded the pavement, grinded the whole nine, but we were struggling. I know what it's like to starve.
How many brothers and sisters you have?
I have 4 older sisters and my older brother who passed away in a car accident in 1992.
Who was the oldest, the brother or the sister?
My sister Linda is the oldest. Then it was my brother. Then my other 3 sisters, Arlen, Abigail, and Carmen, are all older than me. And I'm 4 years younger than my youngest sister. So and 10 years younger than the oldest.
Are you
10
the
years
youngest?
Older, I'm the youngest of 6.
Oh, goddamn, man. You were spoiled then.
Please.
I mean, but since you know.
I was raised by 5 women, man. Imagine being raised by 5 women.
I know that.
And they boss you around, they slap you upside your head. You better not even think about doing anything back.
Bro, let me tell you, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
I raised in the house my mother, my 2 older cousins,
Right.
my sister, and 1 sister younger than me.
That's right.
I know the whoopings for not putting down the toilet stool.
That's right.
I know if it was, you know how my sister used to give me, we get into it? At night when my mother come home from work at the post office, they'll sprinkle water on the toilet seat. And when my mama come in, she gonna think I went in there and pissed. That was.
And you couldn't speak against them because it was a gang. My sisters was like a gang towards me. I better do everything. I better wash the dishes twice a week. I better take out the garbage every night. I was the last one allowed to eat the cereal. They got to eat cereal first. That's how I became a soap opera fan. Like everybody laughs at me because I got a recurring role on the soap opera General Hospital. I've been watching General Hospital for over 40 years. Well, that's how it happened. From the time I was 8 years old, when you came home from school, it was 2 working TVs in the house.
Right.
Both of them were on General Hospital. You either had to do your homework, or because you wasn't allowed to go outside until you got your homework done. So you had to do your homework, or you watch General Hospital.
I got one for you. The living VCR. Remember when your mama used to leave and go to the kitchen for something?
Yeah.
And she make you sit there and you have to tell her verbatim?
That's right. And get everything right, every syllable, everything. Don't fail to tell her exactly what she missed.
Exactly.
Because if you did, then you wasn't going to be allowed to watch TV.
Exactly.
That's what I remember. Absolutely. I'm 53 years old, bro. 53, okay? I'm the youngest, but I'm 53. I'm a grown man. God has blessed me to be very, very successful. My sisters don't give a damn
about none of that.
They're like, look, this is what we need, do it. Oh, by the way, since you in the neighborhood, come by and take out the garbage. Oh, by the way, we haven't been out all week. Come take us out for dinner. That's my life.
You know, my mama called me after the documentary came out.
Right.
And she made me come to the house. She gave me a list of people to call. No, you can do the FaceTime thing.
She know about FaceTime, right? She know about FaceTime, right?
Do the FaceTime thing. I had a list of people I had to call.
Yeah.
Of my family.
Yeah.
So I know you overwhelmed with it.
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed, but there are perks. There are perks that come. Like my sister Carmen. Carmen could throw down, bro. Carmen one of the greatest cooks in the world. My sister can throw down. She gonna have her own cooking show one day. She gonna open a bakery, the whole nine. My sister can throw down.
That's the oldest one.
That's my youngest sister. She was 4 years older than me. All right, and my other sisters. I mean, Arlen is like Felix Unger from that old show, The Odd Couple. She's a neat freak. Abigail's got, she make the best biscuits in the world. Linda could do it all as well when she was healthy. She's battling kidney issues and whatever. So, I'm praying for her and just wishing my older sister the best. But my sister Carmen could throw down, and my sisters are no joke. They make no mistake about it. They are the bosses.
One of them was Thelma now.
Excuse me?
One of them was Thelma, man. Somebody was Thelma in the house.
Now, when you say Thelma, what do you mean?
I'm talking about Thelma on Good Time with them hard.
I know Thelma with the Good Times.
With them hard bricks and grits. Come on now.
Well, that's all. That's all. I thought you was talking about her looks because I was getting ready to say.
Oh no.
Well, nobody's Thelma. Thelma's a special breed. I mean,
Thelma,
that's a once in a generation. Thelma from Good Time.
Thelma from Good Time.
Lord have mercy. You brought back memories.
Man, that's all we had.
You brought back memories right there.
She was all we had on TV.
Yeah, she was all we wanted.
But now listen, I'm not gonna let you off the hook though.
Sure, man.
Somebody cooked like Thelma, but you had a Thelma experience.
I just finished telling you, my sister. Listen,
one of them had a
I would
Thelma
never
experience.
accuse my sister Arlen of being a cook.
Okay.
But here's what I give her credit for.
Right.
She knows her limitations, so she barely tried. So as a result of it, she was like, look, that ain't my gift.
Okay.
That ain't my gift. It's knowing your lane. That's very, very important. My sister Arlen knew her lane. She didn't try. She tried to cook a couple of times. We quickly let her know that ain't you. That's not you. And when you get married, make sure all those other attributes that come with it, you willing to exercise, because cooking ain't gonna catch your husband. They ain't gonna do it.
It ain't gonna do it.
And he didn't care because he had my mom, because my mom was cooking all the time.
I would have never
And she's good. She's good.
That's all that matters. So how did y'all get to New York? Your mothers came from, your parents came
Both
from.
parents were born and raised in the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas Virgin Islands. A lot of my relatives are from the West Indies. St. Thomas, St. Croix, Antigua, St. Kitts, Nevis, all of that stuff. I got relatives, Anegada, all of that. And so my parents came in the 60s after they had my older sister Linda, and then my brother Basil. And then I was born in 1967. That's when we first moved to New York. We moved to New York they said they moved in 1965. I was born in 67, and we were living in the Bronx. So I was born in the Bronx, New York, and then at the age of 1 year old, they moved to Hollis, Queens. And the funny story about that was that the apartment that they were living in at the time caught fire and burnt down, and they were scared to death that I was dead. Like, they couldn't find me and all of this stuff. They told me, I don't know if this is true, they said I was 1 year old at the time. They said I was downstairs sitting outside eating cheese doodles.
In the fire. And they
were looking for me, scrambling, where's Steve? And then one of them came outside and said he's here, and I was on the sidewalk eating cheese doodles. And the reason why that's funny is because I still eat cheese doodles to this very day.
To this day.
Cheese curls.
Cheese doodle, we need the contract. Anyway, going back. I was just going over something about you being an athlete, because see, you being a basketball player, getting a scholarship, and then writing something on your coach.
Yeah.
That was balls.
Well,
man.
what happened is that, I went to an HBCU, Winston-Salem State University, an historically black college. And Coach Gaines, when I came out of high school, man, I didn't play until my senior year. I was 5'9", 125 pounds my senior year in high school. I was real light in the ass. And so what happened is that I go to college, but I could really shoot the basketball. A guy that starred at the university, he was a friend of the family named Harold Funny Kit. He told Coach Gaines about me.
Funny Kit?
His nickname was Funny. His nickname was Funny Kit. And so he said, I want Coach Gaines, I want to bring, because he was a living legend, and he helped integrate the sport of basketball with him and the late, great John McClendon and people like that.
Yeah.
When blacks weren't allowed, they were the ones that facilitated the game at Duke University, where Duke players played against African-American players at midnight and nobody knew about it and stuff like that. They were the ones that helped organize that event. And so what happened is that he brought me down for a tryout. And I went down and I was just trying to get along. And I was passing the ball and Coach Game blew the whistle and he said, yo, man, what do you do? Why are you here? He said, ain't you supposed to be a shooter? I said, yes. He said, then shoot the fucking ball. I said, okay. And I proceeded to hit 17 straight three-point shots. And he signed me the scholarship on the spot. 17 straight threes. I never shot like that again in my life. But that day,
that's all I needed.
That's all I needed. So I got a scholarship on the spot, and I went from there. And so when I went to the school and what have you, you know, I cracked my kneecap in half my first year. I went up for a layup, and the kneecap just split because I had some tendonitis, and the tendons are weak. And if the tendons are weak, you don't have support for the bone. And back then in the late 80s, I mean, technology wasn't what it is now. And so, you know, my kneecap split in half. And then while I was out, my mother was talking about what you gonna do. And I said, you know what? They tell me I can write. I'll be a journalist, because even though I want to do television, my thought at the time was, you smiling in front of the camera reading the prompter, you ain't gonna have any longevity, because I ain't a smiler. I ain't George Foreman or one of those cats. I ain't just cheesing for the camera. It ain't my style. And so ultimately I started writing for the school newspaper while I was on the basketball team. And Coach and I used to talk all the time, because he was like a father figure to me, and he was about life and all of this other stuff. But he was having like mild strokes on the sideline during the game. You know, it was like, it wasn't.
I mean, that ain't funny.
It's not, but I'm just like, I understand where you're coming from. It was like, and it wasn't severe or anything like that, but he clearly wasn't healthy, and sometimes he would be wearing a patch over his eye. And I said, Coach, man, you need to retire, man. And he was like.
And how old were you?
How old was I?
At that time?
I think about 22, 23.
Okay.
I said, Coach, man, you know, I mean, damn, man. You know, you getting up there in age, you're in your 70s, your health. I mean, I love you. I ain't trying to see you have something happen to you on the sidelines. And he said, shut the F up. He said, why don't you try to play? And I'll coach. Mind your damn business. I said, Coach, I'm not just a player of yours. I'm not just somebody who loves you. I also write for the school newspaper. I said, if you don't do something about this, I'm gonna write about it. He said, F you, man. Like that. He said, go ahead and do it, right? He said, please. I said, okay. So I went to the school newspaper. I said, this is what I'm writing. And I wrote in the school newspaper he needed to retire. And so but I didn't tell about his health concerns. I didn't get specific. I just said, listen, he's getting up there in age. He's not what he used to be. He's not the same. Health concerns, et cetera, et cetera. And the school was in an uproar. The chancellor wanted me expelled from the school. You know, the coaches was looking at me with disgust. And when people were bothering me about it, like the administration, it was Coach Gaines that stepped in and said, leave him alone. He looked me in my face and he told me what he was gonna do before he did it. And he said, leave him alone. And the reason why I held on to that is because that basically epitomized what my approach is. I try not to blindside anybody.
Right.
I'm like a Mack truck. You see me coming. You know, if I know you, if I talk to you, if I got your number, you ain't got to worry about finding nothing out. I'm gonna call you. Yo, this is coming. Here's why.
And I know that to be true, because when my nephew was when D-Jack was going through that, I threw an issue.
Deshaun Jackson?
Deshaun Jackson.
Okay.
And you called him.
Yeah.
And I know that to be true, because you reached out to help him in the time of need. So I know that for a fact, because I hadn't met you yet.
Yeah.
And I know that you did that. And so I had a great deal of respect for you. But I always had a respect for a person who speaks intelligent. Never met you. And I never knew you could play. You had a scholarship to play basketball. So, but we're gonna get down.
Sure.
Because you say you can shoot.
You
know.
know, I haven't in a while, but I'm confident that I will beat you.
What camera is mine?
You know, I am confident I would do
Did
that.
you hear this man say he could beat me?
A shooting contest. I did not say I could battle you down low. You didn't hear me say that.
I don't play him down low.
That's right. Just shoot jump shots.
I'm gonna shoot jump shots.
Okay.
He say he'll shoot it.
I think so. I think I would beat you. I'm just me being cocky.
You get 2 dribbles.
Really?
2 dribbles.
Okay. All right.
Don't check out.
Okay.
Your 2 dribbles.
Okay.
It's 2 dribbles and has to be
All right.
shot.
It'll happen.
2 dribbles a shot.
I ain't going nowhere.
I didn't challenge Shaq.
Well,
you know,
you're really stepping out on a limb there.
didn't. I said I did not.
I'm just saying, but if you did, you gonna challenge Shaq to a shooting contest when he shot?
Oh, yeah, I can shoot.
You think? That's like challenging Charles Barkley to golf. What you saying? I mean, come on. Hell no. You seen him?
No, I mean, I seen him with a golf.
You see, the swing alone tells you he can't play. And I love Chuck. I love you, Chuck. But nah, the golf ain't his thing, bro.
So you shoot the golf thing. You good?
No, not at all.
Oh, but you can say he can't play.
I don't try. Listen, there's something to be said for trying. I don't play hockey either.
I used to, but now that I know you play basketball, I gotta take a little bit back. Cause I mean, like, I hear dudes talk about all the time, and he ain't never, but you play.
I'm not worried about them. Listen, man, cats gonna hate. They gonna say what they gonna say because they should feel that way because you see me on TV talking about you and you like, he can't ball. Well, my point is, you wouldn't be able to ball either if I was who you were comparing yourself to. We talking about you against your contemporaries. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, who are you going against? I'm not talking about you against somebody in the street or something. I'm talking about you against your contemporaries. You put on an NBA uniform. You're one of the top 450 to 500 players on the planet. I'm measuring you against them. Guess why? Because there's only one team standing at the end. And a lot of times these cats try to say stuff like, well, you know what? Hell with him or hell with them or whatever. They being negative, they being this, they being that. Well, let me ask you this question. When you go to the negotiating table, do you act like you would like everybody else? No, right then you say I'm an individual. You say, yo, I deserve max dollars. I deserve 30, 40, 45, 50 million a year. Not that dude. He a role player. He should be happy to be on the team when you negotiating. But then when you come and you get your 40 million and the other cat is getting 2, now we all equal. Really? Really? No, it don't work that way.
Your 5.
My all-time 5.
Your all-time 5.
Well, for me, I said definitely MJ. LeBron, because I think LeBron is the greatest small forward to have ever played basketball.
Oh, you putting him in a small forward?
I'm not putting him as a guard.
Okay.
Even though he's a point forward, he's still a forward. Okay. The bottom line is I'm looking at him. I'm looking at MJ. I've got Tim Duncan as the greatest power forward to have ever played the game of basketball. And even though Bill Russell is an 11-time champion, I would still go with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And then the 5th guy, I said Magic Johnson, but here's what I said. If we talking errors, if we talking today.
That's not what you said.
That's how I know that, but I'm just saying. Okay. If we're talking that, Steph Curry is the greatest shooter on the planet Earth.
I'll give you
Ever. Ever. And Magic ain't that dude. Now, Steph can't run a team like Magic. Steph isn't the quintessential point guard that Magic was. And based on resume alone, you want to go with Magic. But for me, if I had to sit up there and think about the modern era, see, Jordan, it don't matter what era. Kareem, it don't even matter what era. Tim Duncan, okay, maybe, maybe not. LeBron, it don't matter what era. MJ, LeBron especially. That point guard spot, eras matter because of the rules in the game and the way the game was played.
Well, that's Magic all the way.
In terms of what?
Magic could play an era. Magic could have played in any era and been the point guard.
I'm not saying he couldn't. But what I'm saying to you is that in today's day and age,
he could still be
if you can't shoot the basketball.
But Magic is the kind of player, when they wanted him to score, what did he do? He became a scorer.
Right. I'm never going to disrespect Magic by saying I'd put anybody over Magic at the point guard spot. What I would say to you is that I'd like to remind you, Steph Curry is the greatest shooter God ever created.
I would definitely agree with that. But remember when the coach told you to shoot? But at that time, Magic needed to be a facilitator, then a scorer.
That's fair.
He was able to do that.
That's fair.
But can Steph be a facilitator if he needs to be one?
I think he can, but let me switch it to you in a different way. If I have LeBron, I have a facilitator. If I have MJ.
Which LeBron?
Listen.
This LeBron.
Yeah, if I have LeBron, I have a facilitator. If I have MJ, I got a stone cold killer. Both those guys demand your attention. How you gonna defend Steph?
I mean, we talked about you stressing the floor. First of all, Kobe can stick everybody you name, with the exception of a little bit of Jordan.
Here's what I would tell you.
And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna leave that.
Sure.
And then who was your center?
I told you Kareem.
Kareem. I'm gonna take the big Shaq Diesel.
I'm
gonna accept.
Shaq's the most dominant. But here's the thing. Here's what I would say to you about the argument for Kareem. We are talking about a 19-time All-Star who is a 6-time champion, a 6-time MVP, who is the all-time leading scorer in the history of basketball. No one has ever scored more. And by the way, not even Jordan, not LeBron, not Kobe, not anyone. The only person in the history of basketball who has had one unstoppable move was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with the skyhook. There is no other person that has ever had that. Yeah. And that's why, and then you combine that with Shaq's problems at the free throw line because he gonna get fouled, right? Mm-hmm. That's why I give it to Kareem. And I love Shaq. That's my dog, but I can't give it to him over Kareem.
Okay, I can feel that. Because my personal is, my team is almost laced all Lakers. And I feel like Magic, Kobe, Jordan, Shaq, Tim Duncan.
Let me tell you why. Because you know Kobe's my boy, God rest his soul. Let me tell you how the argument for Kobe gets completely knocked down. No matter what you come up with about Kobe, I can say Michael Jordan.
No, I put him and Jordan together.
No, but listen to what I'm saying. They played the same identical position. Identical position, and Kobe tried to emulate his game and came the closest to it. So, and not only that, by the way, who just passed away that we celebrated?
Who?
Elgin Baylor.
Elgin Baylor, right. But Elgin Baylor was before Jordan and Kobe.
But what I'm saying
is Dr. J was before.
Right, well, Dr. J, as much as I love Dr. J, he ain't on Kobe and MJ's level.
No, but that's who he was the first guy. He was the first Skywalker.
What I'm saying to you is that when they talk about Elgin Baylor and his versatility and what he brought to the table, all right? What I'm saying is you're looking at Elgin Baylor, you're looking at Michael Jordan, you're looking at Kobe. And my point to you is that Kobe stops. The conversation about Kobe stops at MJ because he was so identical to MJ and emulated MJ, but he was still number 2 to MJ. That's where it hurts Kobe.
I'm going to say that he was number 2 to MJ only in the fact that his game, Kobe carried more. Without a doubt. When we took Shaq away, Kobe had to carry more. Do more with less than Jordan did.
Time out.
Jordan had 5 All-Stars.
Big
Kobe ain't never played with the amount of All-Stars that Jordan did.
My man, here's where you're missing it. You're right about that part.
But that's the most important.
Tell me. You can't sit up there and say once he left Shaq and he got 3 wins with Shaq. He only got 5 total. He got 3 with Shaq.
3 appearances.
3 wins.
3 appearances, 2 wins.
That's right. All right.
Come on now.
I give him that.
He went there 3 times.
He's one of the all-time greats. But we talking all-time starting 5?
I'm just telling you, that's my all-time. First of all, with your intelligence, you cannot whoop the audience and say, Jordan played with a better team. He got better results. Kobe played with a less team and almost got the same results.
I can say this.
Kobe failed by 1.
I can say,
but less results, less team.
I hear what you're saying.
So you can't tell me if me, you, and 5 of our homies going to alley.
I'm laughing.
And we win 5 fights, but I got to go in the alley with a lesser team.
Right.
You come from the gutter.
All right. I'm laughing.
You know what some of your homeboys that you going to go fight with, you're going to like, damn, I got to fight for him. I got to fight for him.
Time out. Here's why I'm laughing. Because I'm going to use you against your own argument.
God damn it.
Now, let me ask you something, Think about cats today.
Right.
How many times, no disrespect to anybody, but how many times have you looked at today's generation and said, they ain't what we used to be? These cats a little bit softer.
No, they're a lot softer.
Come out. Well, what the hell you think the NBA is now compared to what it was? Physically. Do you realize what they tried to do to Jordan? Do you realize it was legal to assault Michael Jordan when he was playing? Do you realize what Detroit did to him?
Wait a minute.
I'm just saying. By the time Kobe was winning championships without Shaq, it was you could get a foul for having bad breath.
Come on, man.
Yes.
They had the Jordan rules.
Hold on.
I watched everybody.
What were the Jordan rules?
Man, Jordan could fly by and it was going to be a foul call.
Tell me. Those wasn't the Jordan rules.
The Jordan rules was, did you whoop Jordan every time he go to
That's right.
But hold on.
That's right.
But they took that so far.
Right.
To where every time he got close to fouling Jordan.
No. After when he won the championships.
Uh-huh.
Not when he was en route to capturing it. Not when he won his first one when he beat the Lakers. Those rules weren't there then. Those rules no, the NBA did not soften it up until after Jordan beat LA.
When he beat us, man, we had Magic got hurt, Coop got hurt,
Stop.
Byron got hurt.
You wasn't beating Chicago. That's right. You wasn't beating. No, there wasn't Worthy and all of those. It was Vlade, Divac, and those boys. Come on, stop that. You know that. Man. The point is that when Jordan was en route to the championship, okay, and he had captured his first championship, all of that softening of the rules to protect Jordan came into effect then, not before.
Now we're going back here. We're going to start off with, look, earlier we was having a conversation about the greatest shooters of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one of our brothers came in and started talking to Steven about Steph, and it brought to mind that I feel like Steph is one of the greatest shooters of all time, but that's because you had somebody else who's a great shooter spacing the floor. And when we was in Atlanta, Steven opened my eyes up to the greatness of having somebody who could space the floor. So I'm gonna let Steven elaborate on that because I feel like without a...
Yeah, I feel you. What you're seeing right now in this 2021 NBA season is the difference you're talking about. You're seeing the difference in the collective impact that not having Klay Thompson has on the Warriors. If Klay Thompson is on the Warriors are one of the top 4 or 5 seeds in the West.
Right.
And they possibly are going to the conference finals because those two together are 2 of the top 5 shooters, in my opinion, in the history of basketball. But I put Steph as a clear number 1. Now, if you're talking about a 3-point shooting contest like your man was asking me, that's different. Because you're talking about spot-up shooters. And we talk about spot-up shooters. We'll throw Ray Allen into that conversation, Reggie Miller into that conversation. You could throw a host of dudes into the mix. There's no question about that. Klay is in that conversation as well. Hell, I go back old school for you. How about Dale Ellis? How about Del Curry, Steph's father? How about Ricky Pierce? How about downtown Freddie Brown from the Seattle Supersonics in 1979, 1908? How about these cats? How about Allen Houston with the New York? You talk about spot-up shooting. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But what makes Steph clearly to me the greatest shooter to have ever played the game of basketball is his ability to create his own shot off the dribble. Reggie Miller might got to bounce a step back, drill it. Ray Allen, smooth as silk, can't leave him open. He gonna drill it. Same thing, Klay Thompson, he could post you up, turn around jump shot, spot up, 3, yes. But I'm talking about literally boogieing on you.
Right.
Breaking you down, buckling your knees, and still pulling up from 30. That's what I'm talking about. 20, 30, 40, it don't matter. Right side, left side, key, wings, don't matter. That is what Steph Curry brings to the equation, and that is what makes him the greatest shooter in the history of basketball.
I got a political question for you. It just popped in my head.
Sure.
Is there ever going to be a woman, because you said the game is soft.
Yes.
Do you ever think the game is going to get soft enough for a woman to at least come off the bench?
No, I don't believe that. I believe that I don't think that's something that's going to happen. But there are some women that can ball. Like, for example, you got a young girl that's a freshman that was Player of the Year, Wooden Award, AP Player of the Year. Her name is Paige Beckett from UConn. I haven't seen a woman shoot the basketball like this girl can shoot. She reminds me of Steph Curry. Now, they neutralized her in the Final Four. That girl, McDonald for Arizona, got up in her and had her running around all over the place and tied her out. But Paige Beckett is something special. We've seen the Candace Parkers, the Maya Moores of the world, and the Diana Taurasi's and all that stuff. So, but don't get me wrong. When I say the game is softer. I'm not saying the game is soft. I'm comparing it to what I grew up watching. And I'm saying compared to what we saw in the 80s and the 90s, because the league has modified the rules to such a degree to protect the superstars, as a result of that, the game is called considerably softer. You're seeing guys getting technical fouls. You're seeing guys, you know, remember they took away hand checking, and you could do this, but you couldn't hand check and stuff like that. Every single year there comes into play a rule that facilitates things a little bit better for the offensive player and neutralizes the defender because they want more offense. They decided from a marketing and business perspective, the more points, the more exciting it is. The more offense, the more exciting it is. And the more that you hone in the game in terms of eradicating the physicality to some degree, the more our stars will be around to continue to shine, which would help elevate the popularity of the sport and all of us get paid for it. That's their thinking, and that's all I mean by that.
Because it's a business.
Yes, because it's a business.
And then I got another one, man. I got another bone to pick with you.
Sure.
See, now me, with LeBron James, was it Game 5?
Yep.
They run Draymond out the game, man.
That was Game 4.
Game 4.
Right.
All them bullcrap fouls.
Why would you? Why is it? Hold on. Why would you have a bone to pick with me of all people about that? Exactly. Evidently, you ain't watching enough First Take, and certainly not Stephen A's World is on.
Okay, you're right. That
yes.
You. That
was. Let me tell you something right now. I've been going off on the NBA for years, calling it a stimulus package they gave LeBron James.
Gave it to him.
To remind everybody, here's the deal. They go into the series. I call it Golden State winning this series in 5. I said they gonna win Game 1. They gonna win Game 2. They'll probably lose Game 3. They gonna steal one in Cleveland, and they gonna close them out back at the Oracle. That's what I said. What happens?
Remember that.
What happens? LeBron, Golden State giving it to them now, but LeBron gets physical because he's frustrated with his team. He's frustrated with the way they playing. They're about to go down. Throws Draymond to the floor.
Yes, sir.
Draymond kicks up his feet. He had already gotten a flagrant foul because he did that to Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
He did that at Oklahoma City in that series, right? So now this calls for an automatic ejection and suspension for the following game. So when LeBron and them, remember the game that LeBron threw him down, the ref didn't even call a foul against LeBron. He didn't even call a technical against any of them. No, they did it retroactively.
Yeah.
Draymond learns he's suspended for Game 5. That same game, Andre Iguodala got hurt. Andrew Bogut got hurt. Now I bring up names like that. They ain't Steph, they ain't Clay. But remember, Iguodala was a defensive ace and was doing the best defensive job on LeBron than anybody. And Andrew Bogut was there to defend the interior. You took out both of those guys, you compromised their health, it changed the series. And by the time they came back, they didn't come back 100%. Iguodala really didn't come back at all, basically. And that was that.
And they hit Dre with 3 fouls in the first half.
And Dre would have been the MVP because he went off in Game 7.
Yeah,
he went off in Game 7.
Yeah,
now, in my opinion, he got to work on that 3 now. He ain't let us shoot the ball like that again. But that to me is the only thing that Dre has to work on. He's got to work on that 3-point shot.
Man, I'm sitting there. I was watching a little extra to come on Real.
Okay.
When what's his name was talking about Draymond and the best defender in the world.
Yeah.
You know.
When he said that he is.
He said he. Well, he gotta feel like that about himself because he's going against some of the best players in the game.
He said he was the best defensive player ever. If he said he was the best defensive player in the world right now, that's a different discussion. Even if we disagree with him, he's an elite defensive player and it comes from a good place. But to say you're the best ever.
But see, you know how sometimes you can misspeak. You know how you can say I done made every shot, but you didn't feel like you didn't make every shot.
Here's the problem with your argument. Draymond is a brilliant brother. He's a basketball savant.
Yes, he is.
Okay? Number 1. Number 2, I think you've heard him speak many times. That's your man.
Yeah.
Okay? That brother speaks very, very well. I don't want to hear about him being confused and tripping up words. This is Draymond Green. He knew exactly what he was saying. He speaks very, very eloquent English. And by the way, he's going to be in television one day doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's going to have a job waiting for him because he's got it.
Well, look, now you talking about jobs. I don't know if you can speak on it or not.
Sure.
But What? They fired my man.
Who?
Paul Pierce.
Okay.
So I get it.
Right.
I mean, because I'm now on the show, so
Okay.
I feel we got to. How does that work, man? I mean,
listen.
It's
let me say this to you. That's ESPN, so I'm not going to speak on ESPN business as it pertains to a specific person.
Gotcha.
But what I will tell you is this. My name is Stephen A. Smith. Some people say I'm the face of ESPN. If I drive out in the street and I get a speeding ticket, they ain't gonna say it's Stephen A. They're gonna say it's Stephen A. ESPN. As a result of that, they make it very, very clear to you that you don't just represent yourself. You represent the brand. You know that walking through the door.
So that's in the contract.
You know that it don't have to be in the contract. Now, for me, I can't speak for everybody else. I can assure you it's in everybody's contract when it talks about, it doesn't say exactly what I said. What it says is that if you sully, smear, impugn the integrity of the brand, we can deal with you. They understand that. You see what I'm saying? Listen, man, I ain't too wild, you know, but hey, I've had a good life. You understand what I'm saying? When Lou Williams became Lemon Pepper Lou, because he went to Magic City, you saw me laughing about it, but I didn't criticize. Why? Because I've been there before. I know about those lemon pepper wings. I know about that. I've been there before. You okay? Excuse me. You know what? You know, you date and all of this other stuff. You know, I've lived a very, very good life. Right. Okay? But you gotta know how to act. And you gotta understand that you representing someone other than yourself. There is no such thing. If you can't, Big U, if ESPN said, yo man, Big U, we want Big U. We want to give Big U a podcast. We want to give him a show. I would be like, come here, bro. Let me talk to you.
Right.
You do understand there is no such thing as you off. Ain't no such thing as off duty.
So that's it.
When it comes to the profile that you have and the responsibility that you have to the brand.
Because look, let me give you this. When I did the documentary Hip Hop Uncovered, right?
Right.
I had posted some stuff on there. And my manager called me. He said, Disney called and they want you to take, they feel like, I said, shit, it's already down. What else do they want me to take down?
That's right.
I said, I'm glad I had something for them to won't take down.
There you go.
So they can see. So I totally understand.
And remember, and this is important too, man. As a brother that's doing, you've been through a lot in your life.
Yeah.
You're doing incredible things in the community. You always have. Everybody that I spoke to, because you and I just met a few weeks ago, and it's a beautiful thing. And I hope that we continue to grow and get to know each other better. But here's the deal. I would tell you that with all the things that you're doing and all the positive impacts that you have, think about the interest that you and your man have in others, and think about how sensitive you have to be.
Right.
To anything that can transpire that can ultimately compromise you receiving the support you want from outside sources in order for you to achieve what you want. Well, if you have to be sensitive to that, and you Big U, what would make you think somebody that's working for Walt Disney, aka Mickey Mouse, that they don't have to be responsible for? Who could possibly make the excuse they didn't know? It's not that they didn't know.
Right.
At some point in time, you make a decision as to whether you cared enough or not.
Right.
And Walt Disney is the kind of company that says, if you don't care, we respect where you're coming from, but you got to go do that for somebody else. You got to do that elsewhere. Yeah. We can't associate with you. And by the way, I don't know any business that hasn't done that. Remember years ago, when there was all of this controversy, particularly in the aftermath of domestic violence with Ray Rice and all that stuff in the National Football League, right? Yeah. Remember, Adrian Peterson was a model citizen and considered one of the all-time great leading rushers. They had to put him on the commissioner's exempt list, meaning they paid him, but he wasn't allowed on the field because advertisers and sponsors were pulling their money from the Minnesota Vikings because they didn't want him on the field, because those who were opposed to corporal punishment per se were raising hell about it. If Ray Rice had been brought back in the league, sponsors would have ran away from those teams. You got Deshaun Watson right now in the National Football League. I love Deshaun Watson. I think he's a phenomenal player. And to me, it's innocent until proven guilty. But when you got 22 charges against you, do not be surprised if corporations are going to say, yo, we don't know if we want to see him back on the field. He got a lot to be worried about in that regard.
We in the cold culture right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's almost like, I elaborate on this because it's almost like I don't want to hear no woman saying it's not a woman's world no more, because it is. Yeah. And they really hold the power.
It's a good point.
And because it's so fearful now to almost like you can't speak to a woman in the workplace, you can't tell her you look good today, or you can't even compliment a woman in dressing. How do you do it?
I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I would tell you this. As honest as that assessment is, and I don't know too many men who would disagree with you, what I would say in defense of those women is that the culture to some degree was created by us. Because as men, and I'm not talking about
I'm
black,
not going to put this on us.
Let me explain. When you talk about white men, black men, whomever, according to the statistics, women have been far more victimized than men.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Now, if we know that to be true, remember when the Ray Rice case came percolating, the thing that jumped in everybody's mind is that there's so many things that happened that women never felt free to speak up about, talk about, and point out because they were fearful they would be ostracized because of the male-dominated culture they were living in. And so if that is all true, then we do play a role in the fact that now it's gotten reversed to some degree because it's like, yo, they basically said enough's enough. We gonna speak up. You have daughters. I have daughters.
And I got big sisters.
That's right. That's right. And so my sisters look at me and my sisters like, you damn right it happened. And you damn right you better speak up about it. And you better speak against it or else.
Right.
You know, and by the way, they threatening to whip my ass if I don't. And guess what? And what am I gonna say? Because I mean, they're my sisters. I better do what they say.
So look, in closing,
yeah, man.
This situation with the All-Star game, you know,
Major League Baseball,
pulling everything out of Georgia, and because of this voting thing. What you think about that? Or can you speak on that?
I can speak on it. I have spoken on it. It's tricky because on one hand, here's where I'm at. You're trying to suppress the black vote. That's the first thing that came to my mind. You know, drop boxes in different locations and, you know, stuff like it's illegal to give somebody food or water and, you know, all of this other stuff. And then, you know, when you pay attention to it and recognizing the fact that they took powers from the states and gave it to the local government or vice versa, they did one or the other, then they also had the power to get rid of the Secretary of State because if you remember the former president wanted the Secretary of State to do his bidding, and then when he didn't do it, he wanted to get rid of him.
Yes, sir.
So these are the kind of things that it reeks of voter suppression because when you talk about the Democratic Party and you're talking about a red state like the state of Georgia has historically been, you're talking about a situation that entails, you know, Republicans pretty much running the state until the recent elections where the two Democrats won the Senate seats. And so they're like, oh, now that you lost, here you are wanting these rules changes.
Right.
In that regard, I'm down with it. Yes, it's voter suppression. I don't like it. Hell with that. MLB, all these sports leagues take a stance. Where I veer left a little bit or veer right a little bit is that I remember when all the social justice issues were going on because of George Floyd's killing in Minnesota. And I remember brothers and sisters taking the knee, trying to bring attention to Breonna Taylor, Eric Garner, Philando Castile, Eric Garner, you know, all of these folks that suffered at the hands of brutality on the part of police officers. And all I kept pushing for was, why are we just talking and protesting? Why are we not on Capitol Hill with these same white folks that swear they're now listening, they hear us loud and clear, what can we do to help, and use their cachet coupled with our cachet to march up on Capitol Hill, specifically in an election year, and demand change in legislation. Why are we not doing that? Because too many times, as a people, we raise holy hell with our voices to bring attention to something, but the follow through and the strategy ain't there to the degree.
That's what we missing.
And that's what we missing. And then when we take into account whether it's Malcolm X back in the day, whether it's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., God rest their souls, you know, if you look at these individuals, it always involves strategy. Even Rosa Parks refusing to give us a seat up on the bus was a strategy. And so I look at stuff like that, and then I say, where is it now? I remember when me and Kyrie got into it one time because they were talking about economic, because everybody in Steven Jackson with all the smoke and all of these other cats got on me, and nothing but respect for all of them, but they got on me because my position was, you know what, it's about strategizing. It ain't just about hollering into the wind. The wind blows it away. You want something that stick, attack legislation. And they were talking about, nah, man, you know, because I spoke against Kyrie when Kyrie was talking about we shouldn't even be playing in the bubble for the NBA playoffs last summer. I said, no, absolutely not. From an historical perspective, when you look at black people, it was about economic empowerment. Malcolm Martin Luther King was about economic empowerment. Malcolm X was about economic empowerment and independence. What happens with this? If Kyrie Irving, if the players had listened to Kyrie Irving and not played in the bubble, Bigu, the NBA had a license to rip up the collective bargaining agreement worth billions that they had just agreed to. They literally would have had the right to do that. And then they would have had to go, it would have rendered all contracts null and void. And you would have had to go back to the negotiating table, negotiate a new collective bargaining agreement with the understanding.
But where would their power have been?
Say what?
They'd have more power though, more leverage.
The players? Well, you say that. But here's what I'm saying about the owners. The owners would have said, you can have all the power you want to. We lost these billions because of COVID-19. So we can't possibly afford to pay you what you're looking for because of what we suffered because of COVID. So and that would have been an excuse for them to lower the amount of money that they had already negotiated to allocate to the players. I said, why would you do that when all you got to do is go and play 2 months of basketball? Keep your money, come back after the season's over, continue to address the issues, because they're not stopping you from addressing the issues in the bubble and beyond.
I had a talk with some of the players too.
Sure.
And I took the stance that they should play because I felt that they should play because you lose the power of voice. And if you don't, I only felt that way.
Okay.
That in that situation, not showing up to work, and I likened that to when I was in prison.
Right.
Because when I was in prison, and I would call the homies for money or call somebody for help, and then because they didn't do something for me one time, then if I stopped calling, I would move myself away altogether. So I likened that to that. And I had talked to nephew, and I was like, look, I feel like you should play only in the fact that you should continue to use your voice. Because now if you just take yourself out of it, you ain't got nothing to say.
Right.
But you stop their game.
Right.
But these may not be the people that you need to get that message to.
Well,
So that was my opinion. But I like what Kyrie was saying. Because I felt like it was a lot of our people that was going hard on Kyrie. When Kyrie is such a young person. I remember when I was young, and I was going for my change as being somebody who was ultimately ignorant and started reading Malcolm X, started reading all these different books, Noble Drew Ali learning, and I started having a field to fight for myself, fight for my people in education. So in my mind, I look at how young he is and what he's reading and how he's studying because I started researching it. And I reached out to some of the little homies that he messed with. And they was like, yeah, Unc, he just be reading and studying it. He trying to get to another place. So I felt like I could see where he was going.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is, I could see where he was going too. And I completely disagree with that opinion.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with it because, again, we're coming from different avenues.
But you have a bigger voice.
I know that.
So it kind of is something wrong with that.
Well, is it wrong? Because when you say it's wrong, think about what we're saying here. I have to me, hate on me if my agenda and objective is different than yours. Don't hate on me because I'm thinking of going through a different avenue to get to the same place.
Right, true.
What I'm saying to you is that you talking about empowerment. If I'm saying hell with empowerment, if I'm saying racism doesn't exist, if I'm saying there's no police brutality, hate me for that because that's not true.
Right,
you see what I'm saying? And that's ignorant and it's weak on my part. That's not what I said. What I'm saying is, wait a minute. This is where you going. This ain't the way you gonna get there. Let me tell you another reason why. Because if you're talking about them not playing, you talking about losing their voice. I'll tell you another reason why their voices would have been gone. Think about it, and you know this just as well as I do. If their money is suddenly compromised, what they gonna be thinking about?
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying? If the money's taken, now see, it's real easy to talk when you know you got direct deposit and the check's coming. Okay, but when that bad boy stopped coming, and you compromised it because you were in your emotions for 15 minutes, oh, now there's a rippling effect. So what I'm saying is, you literally got, just like they got CPAC. You know, you got CPAC, Conservative Political Action Committees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? How about Sports PAC? Sports Political Action Committee. You could sit up there and pool your resources and go to politicians. This is how we want you to vote. This is the legislation. You got Georgia laws. You know what you could do to stop those Georgia laws? Maybe if you had made sure Stacey Abrams won the election, that Governor Kemp wouldn't have been in office to sign that in the law with a damn footage of a plantation hovering over him and 5 or 6 white dudes. Maybe if you had made sure she got in office, that wouldn't have happened. So these are the kind of things that I think about. Now, in the end, what I'm saying is, I'm an older brother, he's a younger brother. Him and all of them. Disagree with me all you want to, that's okay. But when you talk about me, make sure you do your homework. Make sure you know where I'm coming from, because I've been fighting this fight. I've been in these battles. I'm on the air all the time when we talking about black coaches or the lack of black coaches and stuff like that. You think that endears me to white folks? You think they're gonna be happy with me for constantly bringing that up? You think they don't want to alienate and ostracize me? I say bump it, I don't give a damn. It's the truth, it's right, and this is what I'm gonna do. And can't find black players that stand up and go like this, Stephen A. Wright. Yeah. And they got hundreds of millions now. But you scared to speak up, or you don't care because you don't like me. I saw players during the riots and protests and all of this stuff. Man, they were coming up with docu-series and stuff like this, highlighting the Tulsa riots, highlighting stuff that went on in the 60s, pre-civil rights, post-civil rights. I asked them to come on the air to talk about just that. Nothing else. No basketball, no football, no nothing. Let's talk about that. Oh, you didn't like what I said about your game, and so you don't want to come on. Really? You got to understand that at some point in time, and I know you get it, I get it, but at some point in time, it's about realizing certain things bigger than you. I might not like what you have to say, but if the agenda is aligned and we're trying to accomplish a bigger goal, then guess what? I ain't worried about it.
I think when you're talking about young people and you're talking about people who are growing, it's a step they have to, it's steps they make.
I agree.
And then, you know what I mean? Because like, before you got to where you were, you experienced a lot of things.
Right.
Hiring and firing.
Right.
And growing. And a lot of these babies, or these youngsters, I don't want to call it, I don't want to disrespect them, but a lot of these youngsters are going through things that are letting them grow into it. A lot of them are just now starting to see where they're getting their voice. And LeBron, to me, is leading that.
Yes, he is.
And he is what Michael Jordan, people were asking Jordan to be at that time.
But it was a different time.
Yeah, it was definitely a different
And Jordan
time.
couldn't get away. Jordan couldn't get away with what LeBron could get away with now.
I don't know about that, but he could have spoken a little more.
No, you could say.
I'm not even saying that.
Right, I know. Yeah, but I'm just saying.
But I'm just saying
what he does behind the scenes for black folks, it might not have been that apparent in front of the camera, but because he did it, it allowed them to be more receptive to Shaq, Kobe, LeBron, and everybody in between.
And what I'm saying, because see, LeBron is such an example, and because he's so big and respected, he has given them voice. Yeah. Because when I was talking to one of the kids, I was saying that you guys didn't speak up when football was speaking up. You guys were silent. So now it's your turn, because the fight has landed in y'all steps. So
that's what you were saying to the basketball players?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, let me tell you this.
I was talking to
let me tell you this. They should have never, ever have allowed the football players to go out front and center. You know why?
Because they don't get no money.
Because your money's guaranteed, not theirs.
Exactly.
Ain't no football. You got football players that's telling you all the time, listen, you take away the top 20 players. How much football players getting? You understand?
About 200, 300,000.
The reality is that you put them, you left them out there. To whom much is given, much is required. That's like me I got brothers like the Sports Brothers in Miami that's up and coming, along with cats that's in the industry that's up and coming. That's like me telling them, y'all go speak.
Right.
I'm going to be quiet. No, I'm Stephen A. I got this platform. It's my job to be front and center.
I had the same conversation.
You see, it's my job to be front and center. But while I'm being front and center, it ain't about me just going out there gung-ho and being stupid. I got to be cerebral in my approach. I got to understand that there's certain things that need to come from me. There's certain things that need to come from somebody else.
Exactly.
There's certain times that I need to say this. There's certain times that I need to scale it back because I got a bigger battle coming down the pike. And I want to make sure I'm heard on this and I don't dilute my message by having an argument that's of this importance when I know in about a week I'm going to have an argument that's this important. You got to make all of those decisions.
Yeah.
And you got to be smart about it when you're in my position. But these young cats that might not appreciate that position, there's a difference between a young cat that just don't know any better, because we all run across that, and we were all that person.
Yeah, we were.
Right? So both. There's a difference between that, however, and a young cat that feels because he got it going on, he doesn't have to show you any respect whatsoever. And you know those. You know those. And what I'm saying to you is that those cats, I don't give a damn how young you are. I have no use for you. Because when I was that age, I wasn't like that. Right. You couldn't have uncle, anybody else that was an elder statesman come up to me. I might have been dismissive in my mind, like I'm young, I know, they don't know, they old, they passed. Yeah. But I was never disrespectful towards them. Because I respect my elders and that they got wisdom that I might not have. That's
this show. This show is about checking in, hip hop, and it's about it was the birth of the idea of us checking in to let people understand that you should check in, and that's what it's about. Yeah. Young people, and that's in the source. Y'all they checking in, and you've been there because you said earlier something that touched me when you said that a lot of these youngsters don't realize you're getting calls from your OGs, from guys who played this game from the beginning of his time. You know what I mean?
Hall of Famers call me all the time. Do not let them off the hook. Hold them to the same standard you hold us to. So what I do is, if it's your personal life, as long as you don't end up in the police blotters, that's your business. I ain't got nothing to say. I don't see no evil here, though. It ain't none of my business. Right. But what you do on the court or the field, in front of thousands in attendance, millions watching on television, yo, that's my domain. I know what I'm looking at. And I'm gonna say it. And it's a part of the industry, and it's a money maker and the whole bit, and all of those things come with it. But it's about being fair, it's about being human. But I'm gonna be honest with you, especially when it comes to me, it's also about not kissing anybody's ass. Right. I ain't doing that. The bottom line is I answer to my public. When I'm out there talking, you all expect, if you see me, if you watching LeBron play and your Lakers play, and LeBron shoot 3 for 20, and y'all lose, and I go on the air, well, you know what I mean? He really didn't have that bad of a game. I mean, he really wasn't that bad. You're gonna go like this. You're gonna be like this. You're gonna be like, what the hell's wrong with Stephen A? What the hell's wrong with you? You gonna call my man Mark Stevens? You gonna call my man Mark Stevens? Mark Stevens gonna be like, man, what's the matter with you, dog? You can't say nothing like that. That's what you're gonna say. Exactly. So I'm just saying, people, because of the role I play, people expect me to give it to them straight based on what I see and what I'm observing covering the league. And my response to the public is, I ain't getting into nobody's personal life so long as they ain't on the police blockers. But what you do on the court or field of play, I'm gonna call it like I see it. You play great, I'm gonna say so. You play like garbage. I ain't gonna say you struggle. I'm gonna say you play like garbage. That's what it is. That's the way it's been. That's the way it's gonna stay.
And I mean, I think that people have to realize how many years you've been in this.
And 27.
And that's a lot of years. That's older than some of these babies been living.
Yeah, exactly.
27 years. And you have done with all manners of the streets and people coming in and going out.
It's amazing because it's like, you just sit up there and it's like, guys get so mad at you based on what you say. And I'm like, if they only knew what I could say. Right. You know, you got to remember, you have teammates, you have administrative officials that work with you, you have coaches, you have executives, you have owners. I know people for every single team.
Right.
in most sports. I have half of them on speed dial. It's nothing for me to find out something. Now, I'm not going to say anything unless it's pertaining to the game. But the point is like, listen, you know what they said? What they said? I remember one Mission Impossible movie. Dude, I think it was the first Mission Impossible. And the guy that was chasing after Tom Cruise, he said, what's the suspense here? You find a soft spot and you squeeze. And that's what you do as a journalist. You find okay, where's the soft spot? Who knows what? And you ultimately get connected to them. When you've been covering the league for over a quarter century,
there's not nobody you don't know.
You know enough. You don't know everything. No one knows everything. But you know enough to do your job well.
Okay, but Michael Rappaport, man.
Yeah, man. He was wrong. You don't do that. That's violating all kind of man codes. And I spoke to Michael about that. And I like Michael. He's a bit wild with his political commentary, stuff like that, but I like him. But he was wrong, and I told him so. Now, in his words, you know, once KD mentioned his wife, that's when he lost it.
Still, though.
And I say still, you violate all kind of man rules.
Yeah.
You know, you don't do that. Listen, I've had private conversations with countless players. I have never, ever, ever in my career revealed a private conversation with anyone without their permission, if it's private. That's a principle that you got to hold on to. And I guess it helps because that's me coming from the streets. See, I can't lift my head up. I can't lift my head up, meet cats like you and Doe and others, knowing I'm that kind of dude. I can't do something like that.
I think that's what people need to know about you, though.
They know. Trust me.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, sometimes you can see and you hear a person talking, you think that he's talking about everything that he know.
Right.
Until they know that he ain't talking about everything he know.
They know better, and they know they can say whatever they want. But there isn't a single athlete that can tell you truthfully that I have ever violated their trust. Never happened. Never happened. And it never will, because it's not worth it to me. It's about my manhood. It's the cast that I'm friends with that ain't players. How can I walk around and be hanging out with you and all of this other stuff, and you got to be worried about what you say, if I'm going to say something? Nah, that's weak. I would never do that.
Well, look.
Yeah, I know. It's past 5.
I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, you good?
I'm good.
All right, well, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the questions, man. So this is checking in.
Sure.
I pull up in your city. Mm-hmm. Where you taking me to eat?
Wow. Okay. Well, I got several cities at this point in time.
Okay. Well, man,
are you talking? I mean, are you talking? I mean,
somebody finna get a plug.
I'm a bit bougie, but I will tell you this: if you come to New York City, I'm gonna take you to Spoon Breads in Harlem because that's my favorite soul food spot. Okay. Sylvia's too. I got to give Sylvia some love because I was going there for years as well in Harlem. That's me, but man, please, if you driving around me, we just driving around, I might take you to White Castle. I ain't gonna lie, I love me White Castle. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm just that way. I'm just that way. You go, if we were in Jersey, it's a couple of nice spots that I got because I got a house in Jersey. It's a couple of nice steakhouse spots that I got. But more is Ruth Chris, stuff like that. Simple. I'm a Pizza Hut guy too. These are vices that I have. Pizza Hut guy. Out here in LA, Maestro's. Catch is my favorite spot. Yeah, Catch is my favorite spot here. Mm-hmm. I love Catch in LA. They treat me very well, and I think it's exceptional. And of course, Nobu in Malibu. I mean, come on now.
Okay.
I mean, you got to do it like that. But I mean, that's what I'm trying to say, because you know, I know you family man and the whole bit.
Yeah.
You know, you do a lot of work. You take the wife to Nobu, bro.
Yes, sir.
You take the wife to Nobu in Malibu.
Yes.
It's not
taking the wife.
And Catch here.
And then okay, so now I'm out here with my boys. Where we going shopping at? You know what I'm saying?
In LA?
I mean, in whatever city, man.
Yeah, I'm a Neiman Marcus guy, bro. I'm a Neiman Marcus. Now, I will admit, now see, here's the thing. It's a little different for me because I said, like for me, I'm known for wearing expensive suits. What people don't know is the story behind that. Like, I tried other suits, but Tom Ford fits me best. Right, my Tom Ford suit.
Do you wear the cologne too, Tom Ford?
No, hell no. I got my own cologne.
I got my own.
No, not my own. Not my own. I didn't mean my own. I said I don't wear Tom Ford.
24?
You know, what is it? Creed. I like Creed. Creed. Try it. It works.
Man, I got Creed too, but
I'm the white. Trust me.
Trust me on this.
Trust me on this.
What's Creed?
Creed is a nice cologne. Trust me.
I got Creed.
Avantis Creed. Trust me. Just trust me. Try it, because the only thing that matters is the wife. So try it, spray that bad boy, and go to the wife. How it smell? Mark
Man, I
my
got
words.
cologne.
Mark
My
it down.
sons come in and they take it off. I can't
Well, yeah,
even
because
it's
they
the
know.
good one.
Because they know.
They don't take
They
the
know.
creed.
They know. They're gonna take the creed. Trust me. Trust me. They're gonna take the creed. But anyway, when we talk about the suits, here's the deal. Because I grew up so poor, when I first started making a little money, the first thing I did, you got cats buy cars and you know whatever. I did all of that later. First thing I did was buy a suit or an outfit for every day of the month. Before I could afford Tom Ford.
You
But
bought
every
30
day.
suits?
No, or blazers with a shirt. Like for
Okay,
when
yeah,
I was
gotcha.
poor, when I was poorer, I would take a blazer that I could wear 3 different ways. With a white shirt, a black shirt, a brown shirt, or whatever the case may be, and I mix and match it. But I made sure I had 30 outfits. Now I can afford 30 suits.
Gotcha.
All right, so I have a suit for every day of the month. You know why I did that?
No.
In case I lose my job, I never have to get dressed for an interview.
Wow.
That's why I did it, because in 2010, ESPN, 2009, I'm sorry, ESPN elected not to renew my contract over the contract dispute. I was unemployed for a full year. I was off TV for a full 2 years.
In
I went
2009?
from making, in 2009, I went from making over $1 million a year to making 0 for a whole year, not a dime. I lived off my savings.
So what happened with what did you have to
Contract dispute. I thought I was worth more money than they thought. And I turned down their offer and they said, bump it, bye. Just like that. So I learned the hard way that I didn't know as much as I knew about my business. If you remember, you watch Dave Chappelle, when he's talking now with his latest thing on Netflix or whatever, he's talking about how he's the master of his own business. He knows how much he's worth.
Right.
He has an idea. He's a master at studying his own business. So when I was let go, I went about the business of locking in on my worth. What I thought I was worth revenue-wise and stuff like that, I was wrong. I miscalculated because I didn't pay attention. And so as a result, I went about the business of studying, recognizing how to build my audience and knowing how to monetize that for myself. That's what I had to learn. I didn't know it back then.
So that was
I
very
made a foolish
important for the
decision.
kids to understand.
That's right. It was a big deal, but for me, I still hold on to that. Like no matter, I'm living well, I got a crib here in LA, I got a crib back in New Jersey and New York, all of that other stuff is fine. And I've been blessed, but I worked over a quarter century to pull it off. What I'm saying to you is, I still remember when I was broke growing up and when I was unemployed a decade ago as if it were yesterday.
Right.
And I walk around with that mentality all the time.
I was talking to a youngster today, and he's in high school, and he said he wanted to go. He's a football player, wants to go to school, he wants to get in communications. And I was explaining to him that you have to do a lot of work, and you need to be lucky.
Yep.
And I was telling him you got to be willing to sacrifice.
Yeah.
And just to hear you say how many years it took you to get where you are.
Yeah.
And I was explaining to him, today it's a lot more jobs in front of a camera than it was 10 years ago. And I told him I was coming to do this interview. And I was waiting for him to say, I want to go, and I was going to bring him. But he never said it.
Right.
And I was looking at
He
him.
missed out.
When I got ready to leave, I said, see, you ain't really serious. I walked up to him, I whispered in his ear, I said, you ain't really serious. Because if you was, you wouldn't have never let me walk out this backyard and you not want to go meet one of the greatest men to ever do sports, talk about sports.
Right.
And Doe will tell you, this happened this morning. Happened this morning.
You told him right.
Yeah.
You told him right. And I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about the principle of your position that he should have viewed it as an opportunity to capitalize off a level of exposure you're not getting every day.
And
because that's what I did. I remember one time, man, I was in this business and they asked me to give a speech. And I had to give a speech to a bunch of aspiring journalists. And one guy stood up and he said, Mr. Smith, appreciate you the whole bit. He said, I got a problem though. Could you help me out? So what's going on? He said, I've been offered a job. And I'm from Maryland. And the job is in Seattle, Washington. And I said, so is the job you want? He said, yeah. I said, it's a good opportunity for you? He said, yeah. I said, well, what's the problem? He said, Mr. Smith, I'm in love.
Oh, then
You know, I'm in love. You know, and you know, if I take this opportunity, I don't know what's gonna happen in the relationship. I said, you coming to me to ask this question? You sure you want to do that? He said, yes, sir. My mom told me to talk to you. I said, okay. Love don't pay the bills.
Sure, for real.
I said, that's my answer to you. Love don't pay the bills. And I said, I'm gonna tell you something that's a very, very harsh reality. I don't care how much that woman loves you. It's gonna be compromised if you can't pay the bills.
Exactly.
Don't let them tell you any different. You can't pay the bills, you're gonna have a problem.
Yes, sir.
And I said, so I'm not telling you to get rid of her, dump her, or anything like that. Shoot, she might be a hell of a catch. But don't you want to take care of her? Don't you want to help her acquire what she's aspiring for, as opposed to being an anchor in her life that's pulling her down because you can't provide for her? I said, yo, you got to go and do what you got to do. I said, I would strongly suggest you try to convince her to come to Seattle with you. And if not, go without her. Because your relationship ain't gonna last anywhere if you back here and you ain't doing but so much because you passed up an opportunity of a lifetime for yourself. And that's really what we talking about here, man. We talking about sacrificing. People ask me all the time why you ain't married. It was simple, because I was married through my career after growing up poor, starving, watching my mother struggle. My mother and father were married for 60 years, but my father, I'll just leave it at this, he handled his business. And so because of that, that put a lot of weight on my mother's shoulders. And I'm a proud mama's boy. The first thing that I did when I signed my contract for my new show years ago in 2005, when I had, quite frankly, I signed that bad boy for over $1 million. I signed it on 66th Street in Manhattan at the ABC building. I signed that bad boy. The first thing I did was go to my car, drive to Queens, New York, and my mother had retired as a nurse, and she was working in the police athletic league to just get pennies to afford to go on her vacation because she didn't want to use her pension. And I went straight to that PAL and I walked up to her and I said, let's go. You will never work again. And my mother never worked another day in her life.
They would on that.
I wasn't playing. That was the mission. That was the mission. Because when you see, listen, women are incredibly intelligent. They're better than us. They're smarter than us. They make greater contributions to corporate America and all that other stuff. But if you're being real about it, what you really want for that wonderful woman is for her to have that choice. Mm-hmm. You don't want her to be forced to do not just what she's supposed to do, but what you're supposed to be doing, because you ain't handling your business.
Real talk.
You do not want that as a man, not if you're a real man. And that's all I've been about.
Yeah, real talk, man. And I feel like, because I've been blessed to have sisters. Yeah. And my story is really a story of women. You know what I mean? Like my riders, court cases, road cases, all that. My sisters, my mother, all that. You know what I mean? So I wasn't blessed to meet my father until 16. And I wish I would have knew him earlier. I met him, but I didn't really get to know him. And I say that all the time, he was 16. But he's a great man. I love him. He live with me. I take care of him today. And I take care of my mother too. But the women have always been the rock.
They're smarter. Yeah. And you know what it is too? This is the thing about women that I don't even think women realize. When a woman supports you, that is the closest you could get as a man to invincibility.
Right.
I don't think women realize that. You know, you got a lot of women that they're confident and they'll say, yeah, we get it. But they don't really get how it hits you. When you have a woman who genuinely has your best interest at heart, and she's that ride and die chick for you.
Oh, you can feel it.
You can feel it. And it's like, there's no one that can touch you. They really, really can't, because you got her. And so for me, it's like, but I'm not talking about just a wife or a girlfriend. I'm talking about sisters. I'm talking about, they could be sisters, they could be cousins, they could be, when the female or females are in your life, yeah, you're a dude, you need some testosterone around you, you understand what I'm saying? You got to remain hardcore to some degree, pig-headed, the ego, those things help. But in terms of that safety net, that foundation, that cushion, that no matter how hard you fall or how low you fall, that something or someone is gonna be there to pick you up. It ain't nothing better than a woman.
Man.
Ain't nothing better than a
Let me
woman.
tell you, I did 13 years, and that's all I had.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? I had my wife,
Yeah.
my mother, and my sisters, man. And I would get my homegirls. I would always get a letter from one of my homegirls. It'd be $50.
Yeah.
It'd be months. We would go.
Because the fellas ain't writing like that. They ain't doing that.
Well, I want to say
A lot of
they
them.
write it just they wrote.
Right. That's what I mean. But that's what I mean. They there for you, but they ain't just the type to sit down and
They ain't
express
gonna do
their
that.
thoughts.
Right.
That's usually not the fellas.
Yeah, you ain't gonna
That's
get
usually
the
not
old
fellas.
pictures and all that, the old time.
Nah.
The homies will
Right.
pull up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But dog, you need that. No,
Yeah.
I could never say enough about my sisters born to me.
Yeah.
It's my blood sisters, then my sisters that I met through the world
Yeah.
and through, because it's no separation because I love them all. And they love Big U.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
When they gave me the television show, quite frankly, they came to me, I was making $200,000 a year. They came to me with 1.3 million. And I didn't want to take it. I was scared. I was like, I ain't never hosted no show before. I don't know what to do here. My older sister, Linda, oh, we a punk now? Oh, that's what we do? That's how we do? We a punk now? We just gonna run because it's an opportunity that we scared of. That's what we do. That's what my brother's doing now. That's not the brother I knew. This dude in front of me right now is just a little old punk. I don't even know who you are. I was like, what? I'm taking the job. I'm taking the job. It was because she came at me like that. She didn't give me any reason to doubt. And then now that, you know, I'm obviously more successful. My youngest sister, Carmen, always around. Carmen and still Linda and my other sister, they like, yo, you gonna do this. Carmen's like, you realize you the best. You do understand that. All the numbers, the revenue, the ratings, you the best.
They got all the numbers. They got numbers you respect to, man.
I didn't even realize it wasn't. My sister had spoken to my manager and one of my agents, and I didn't even notice. She came to me and she said, "Do you know you've been #1 for the last 8 years in counting?" She said, "You had the #1 morning show. You're generating the most revenue," and I had no idea. I had no idea. And she said, you had to know because you always pay attention now because you know your business, remember? I said, yeah, but I didn't want to pay attention to it to that point once I knew. In other words, I knew it, but then I stepped away from it because I put my head down. I got other stuff to accomplish. And she reeled me back. No, you #1. You #1. And she said, man, it ain't going to last forever. You know that. But nobody can take away from you what you've accomplished.
No.
You've already done it.
No.
And I was like, and I smiled. I was like, that puts it in perspective. Because when it's something, because think about it, when you're a player, you win the championship this year. You might lose it next year.
Exactly.
You might lose it the next year. They can't take away what you got this year. And that's what you play for. This is what I do for to be #1. I've been #1 for 8 years.
I've been around some of these kids when they win these championships, and I tell them they can't never take that away from you.
Never.
You're a champ, but you gotta enjoy it.
You gotta enjoy it. You gotta relish it and appreciate what got there. That's right. Somebody coming for you, you gotta remember what it took to get you there, and you gotta hold on to that to transfer that attitude and that energy to whatever else you choose to do. You see what I'm saying? It can't be one-dimensional. I have no doubt, I have no desire to continue doing First Take for the next 5, 10 years.
But it's brilliant though.
Yeah. I got my own show, Stephen A's World. I'm the executive producer. My company, Mr. SAS Productions, co-produces it. I got docuseries that I'm EPing and co-producing. I got.
Can we get an idea on one of them?
Say what?
Can we get an idea on
one of them is HBCUs equals Black excellence. The history of HBCUs. Wow. That's what I'm coming down the pipe with. It ain't just sports. It's everything. I'm talking about Thurgood Marshall and beyond. I'm talking about the first Black Supreme Court justice, all of this other stuff, and basically bringing it to the modern day era and really highlighting what Black excellence truly is through the lens of an HBCU and what Black people have to go through in order to climb the charts and succeed in this world. So I'm gonna make it current and I'm gonna bring it to the forefront. I'm gonna do all of that.
Oh, that's brilliant. So, I mean, I'm not surprised you got to bring to you, man, because I got some stuff I want to do too, which I am doing.
I'm open to it all because I think that you've done an exceptional job with Hip Hop Uncovered. I think you should win an award for that docuseries. Y'all was sensational, man. And Trick, that brother special. I mean, that brother was, I was laughing every time he spoke.
Right.
Every time he spoke. Haitian Jack was as real and authentic as they come. Just the whole bit. I mean, everybody from Queens, it was really good. You did a sensational job with that docuseries. You should really, really be proud of that, bro.
No, man, I am, man. I'm proud of the people that helped us do it. And Rashidi Harper was the director.
Okay.
Michael Spellman was the brains. Jimmy Chris was the idea who brought the idea to me, and
Right.
I went to work and put it together and brought those people in. Obi was the one who kept us glued together, you know, because we go all over the place, man. But we was brilliant to have an all-black cast. And like you say, Disney took a chance on us through FX all the way down to Lightbox.
Right.
And so that was just a pleasure to be able to have that. And you know what's so funny is people say Disney. Man, I too don't. You know, some of you can't realize the power of it because you working in it and it's everyday grind. Because I'd have been around some celebrities, man. I'd have said, you know, that was a Disney.
Yeah.
Disney?
Yeah. Because they're thinking Disney as in Mickey Mouse. They're not thinking about FX. They're not thinking about Hulu. And they're not thinking about the fact that those are somewhat risque channels, outlets. And there's a place for it all. You know, Disney, you know, got National Geographic, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, you got a whole bunch of stuff with Disney. I'll tell you something right now. You look at it, like, for example, I'm a fan of the show Snowfall.
Right.
Okay? Now, I think about you. I think about your background. Just think about the stories you could tell with something like that. When you talk about scripted content, putting stuff out there and telling a story, and then you get some real cats connected to the game, previously or present. They can serve as consultants. They can serve as producers. See, a lot of times, man, when we look at our society as a whole, we just look at the end result and we hate on people.
Right.
And what we're not looking at is the road they traveled and had to maneuver their way through trying to get beyond it. And so what I'm saying is that when you have an opportunity to show others, yo, there's a way for you out here, you go out about this, make some money legitimately, become stars at what this is about. You'd be surprised what you're gonna be able to do, and you'd be surprised how interested they're gonna be.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm hoping that we open up gates like that. And like I said, they had asked me about it earlier. We haven't renewed nothing yet. We're talking about it. I got a lot of ideas on things that I want to do because that's just one of the things that I want to do, and to be able to tell our story. Yeah. And because I feel like hip hop has influenced this generation of athletes. You know what I mean? And I know you can see it because we both grew up.
We were influenced by it. Yeah.
Yes. And we can see it from the Allen Iverson look, from the big pants, and now we're in short pants, a different generation, so we're growing it. And I feel like now, with the success of Hip Hop Uncovered, we together, I definitely want to talk to you about something, me and Doe, about doing some other things too. And creating a platform where we can tell these stories and people can see end results. Because I tell people all the time, you can't just tell a story and you say you just, it's nothing to it. Like, where's the story? Where's the grit? Where's the fight to get right? Exactly. You know what I mean? Because I didn't just start selling joints. I learned it from home. You know what I mean? Not from my mother's home, but from the family that was around me. And we went out into the world. We took that to the world. But at some point, I had to change. At some point, I had to grow up.
And at some point, you also got to receive the level of understanding necessary. I remember there's been plenty of white executives that have come up to me and it's like, well, you made it. How come they couldn't? I said, first of all, I had the most wonderful mother on the planet.
Wow, me too.
Secondly, drug dealers saved my life. I was in Hollis, Queens. I was always out there shooting the rock and what have you, shooting hoops and stuff like that. But because we were poor, I was tempted to deal drugs. I was tempted to be on those street corners. I was tempted to get into that game. They wouldn't allow it. They said, we see potential in you. Get your little ass out of here. Okay, when I came to shoot baskets, they would sit up there and say, all right, you got about an hour and a half before we start doing our thing. And they literally would instruct all the other cats in the neighborhood, leave him alone. Don't touch him. So to me, I come from that. Like, and you know, I've often told people all the time, they like, you know, you think you hard, and that's not true. You understand what I'm saying? I said, hardcore cats respect me because I don't try to act like them. They can't stand the phony cats that try to be like them when you know you're not. They knew I wasn't that. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean,
They
knew that. And so because I respected them enough not to try to be them, they had love for me and protected me from that element. Even though I was surrounded by it and I knew everybody and the whole nine, they watched my back constantly. That's why I can go back, man. I'll go back home, man. I'll see a cat that I ain't seen in years, and they come up to me, giving me a big hug, and everybody looking at us, man, because cats got tears in their eyes, because they so proud of me.
Right.
Because they got me there. It wasn't just my mom. My mom obviously had everything to do with it, and my sisters, but it wasn't just them. It was the neighborhood, and the neighborhood said, we got you.
And proud of
they
you
looked out
to
for
this
me.
day.
And they looked out for me.
Man, well, look, I definitely could talk to you forever. And, man, we could chop it up because, I mean, we come from the same walk. But we got one thing that we do here at WorldStar. And this is the thing we do.
Okay.
We created this word. It's called grandiose.
Grandiose.
So here at WorldStar, this is what we do.
Okay.
It's called the grandiose. And it's like you got to tell us grandiose story. So you get 2 minutes to tell us the most grandiose story. It don't matter if it's true, if it's a part true. You know, you could have flew in on a whale and landed the whale on Brooklyn, on the biggest building in Brooklyn. Went down and got you a Philly cheesesteak, and then got back in the whale and drove down. And you know, but it's the grandiose. You know what I mean? Whatever. It's Stephen A. and the grandiose.
I'm gonna tell you something. It involves a female.
Okay.
And it's true, it ain't fake. So oftentimes I often tell people, and it's like it can be grandiose good or bad. To me, it's right here in the middle. So oftentimes, so many times when people talk about betrayal, they think, all right, you slept with somebody else, you did something like that. No, there's a multitude of ways to betray people. So I had this girl, this honey I was dating, I was talking to her in college. And I was leaving from Winston-Salem State, and I was going to the movie theater. And I was driving to the movie theater, and the next thing I know, one cop is behind me. Another cop car comes up. Another cop car comes up. But the one that was behind me initially, I never stopped because he was in a plain car. It wasn't no siren or anything. So once I see the cops coming up and stuff like that, I pull over. Like, what the hell's going on? Guy gets out the car, pulls out his gun. Get the F out of the car right now. Get the fuck out of the car. You know, and pointed it right at me. Put my hands up like, what the hell's going on? You know what I'm saying? He said, and took me and threw me against the car door. Threw me against the hood of the car or whatever. And like, what did I do? What did I do? You fucking saw me coming after you. You were speeding. I said, how do I know you're a cop? You didn't have a siren on, ain't a cop car, whatever, whatever. And the other cops came, right? And literally, a rare experience, the cop told him to back off. Relax, 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 calm down. He's a kid. You know, I was in college. He's a kid. The girl I was dating walked up to the car right in front of me and the cops. What you do now? I have never, ever been in any kind of trouble other than speeding. That is the only thing that I have ever done to break the law in my life, speed. And this girl walked up to me in front of a bunch of cops with my little black ass and said, what did you do now? Her ass was gone by the end of the night. Relationship over. Relationship over.
Well, was she African American?
Yes. Sister.
A sister.
Yes.
She didn't walk up and say, baby,
Walked
come
up to
on.
me. She walked up to me in front of the cops. What'd you do now? So I'm just saying, ladies, you can't do that. You cannot do that to a black man
Right.
in the presence of cops.
So-
And then total betrayal. Total betrayal.
Total betrayal.
She was gone by the end of the night. She's gone by the end of the night.
You ain't never talked back to her?
No, what does it say? What does it say?
Gotcha.
What did you do now? Like I'm a what did I do? What did I do? Don't know a damn thing. All I did was that I was driving to take her to the movies.
So here we go.
Is that a good enough story for you?
Is that grandiose or not?
I think so.
We gonna figure.
I think so. I think so.
So listen, thank you for having us. You got Stephen A. Smith, a legend. You know what I mean? And one of the best guys you're gonna ever meet. You my brother from another mother. You at WorldStar and you just checked in.
Yeah, man. See, what y'all don't understand is you got to check in, man. Everywhere I go, I check in, man. No, I don't get checked, I check in. It's a big difference, man. You gotta really understand